In the land of Persia, Nehemiah served as the cupbearer to King Artaxerxes, living a life of comfort, yet his heart longed for Jerusalem, the city of his ancestors. One day, Nehemiah's brother Hanani arrived from Judah with heartbreaking news. The walls of Jerusalem lay in ruins, and its gates had been burned. This news devastated Nehemiah. Overcome with sorrow, he sat, wept, fasted, and prayed before God for many days. In his prayers, he confessed the sins of Israel and pleaded for God's attention, asking for favor before the king. God listened to his cries. When Nehemiah stood before King Artaxerxes, the king noticed the sadness on his face and inquired about it. With newfound courage, Nehemiah replied, expressing his grief over the ruined city of his fathers. Moved by God's hand, the king granted Nehemiah permission to go and rebuild Jerusalem's walls, providing him with letters for safe passage and timber for the construction. Upon arriving in Jerusalem, Nehemiah quietly inspected the damaged walls under the cover of night. The next day, he gathered the people, urging them to rise up and rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, to put an end to their disgrace. United in purpose, they responded.
The rebuilding of the wall of Jerusalem began in earnest. Families, priests, goldsmiths, and merchants all took their places along the wall, diligently repairing the broken sections. However, not everyone was pleased with their efforts. Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem the Arab mocked and ridiculed the workers, sneering, "What are these feeble Jews doing? Even if a fox climbed on that wall, it would fall." Despite the insults, Nehemiah turned to God in prayer, saying, "Hear, O our God, for we are despised." Turn their insults on their own heads. Bolstered by their leader's faith, the people continued building, fueled by their determination to restore the wall. As the structure rose higher, their enemies became increasingly angry and plotted to attack. Yet Nehemiah remained resolute, stationing guards and arming the workers with swords, spears, and bows. Half the men toiled on the construction while the other half stood ready to defend. Those carrying materials worked with one hand and held a weapon in the other. Nehemiah rallied them, proclaiming, "Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses." Day and night, they persevered.
As the mighty task of rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem drew near its completion, Nehemiah faced one final challenge from the enemies who plotted against him. They were frightened by the determination and progress of the people, so they resorted to deceitful tactics. They sent messages to Nehemiah, inviting him to a meeting, hoping to lure him away from his work. Yet, Nehemiah, filled with discernment, understood their intentions were malicious. His steadfast response was clear and firm: "I am doing a great work, so I cannot come down." In their desperation, the adversaries spread false rumors, claiming that Nehemiah sought to proclaim himself as king of Jerusalem. Nehemiah, however, remained undeterred. He turned to God in prayer, calling out, "O God, strengthen my hands." His faith provided him the courage to press on, dismissing the threats and slander that sought to derail him. Even when a false prophet approached him, trying to coax him into hiding, Nehemiah stood resolutely against disobedience. His commitment to God's purpose was unwavering, and he refused to let fear dictate his actions. For 52 days, the labor continued with relentless dedication. The wall, once in ruins, began to rise again, brick by brick, under the hands of those who believed in the mission. At long last, the wall of Jerusalem was finished. The work was complete, and a wave of amazement washed over the enemies who had plotted against them. They realized that this monumental achievement had been accomplished not by human hands alone, but through the divine assistance of God. The power of faith, coupled with unwavering resolve, had led to the city's restoration. In this moment of victory, Nehemiah gathered the people of Jerusalem. They assembled with hearts full of gratitude, ready to celebrate this miraculous accomplishment. The priests and Levites took the lead, ushering in a time of thanksgiving and praise. Joyful trumpets echoed through the air, and choirs filled the ambience with songs of glory. Happiness enveloped the city as its walls stood tall once more. Together, Nehemiah and the people praised God, acknowledging his hand in restoring their beloved city. From that day onward, Jerusalem emerged as a powerful symbol of God's faithfulness, his protection, and his ability to rebuild what had once been broken. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe, like, share, and comment for more stories every day.